We're all set.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to call to order the special town board meeting on July 2nd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. here in the town of Manlius.
Just those two. There's nobody else.
Okay.
Packed house here too.
Yes. As always, we are remote and streaming. Please check the top of each of our agendas for information on how to join via Zoom for our meetings. Next up, I would like to ask Councilor Gonzalez to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the only order of business we have on the agenda for tonight, we were just kind of talking just before we gaveled in. So this is the bid for the Skyridge Water District. So this is a project we've been working on for quite a while at this point. Basically, when we went out to bid, everything came in higher than we expected. And so what we did was we asked our professionals with Miller Engineering to try and see what we could make happen to ease that a little bit. So just as a reminder, this is a project that has a very strict budget of $2 million. That's from a DACNY grant that we have. And the district can only take on up to $300,000 in debt. So again, very tight budget. We've essentially left the debt that is allowable for the district open as essentially to cover any contingencies. So when this bid came in, some alarm bells went off. But like I said, the team at Miller Engineering has been working in Castanella. And so what we have in front of us is on the agenda, we're posted the bids and the alternates and a letter from Miller Engineering kind of explaining here are all the bids we received. This is where the water main replacement and pump house improvements. And so the suggestion from Miller Engineering is to go with alternate 1, the low bid from Castanella Excavating for $1.6,650,000. And so as an addition to that, the team has been able to negotiate downward the scope of work of alternate 1 with Castanella Excavating. This will result in an impending change order once all the contracts are signed. That will give us back a credit of $560,210 for an overall modified project cost of $1,084,440. And so the motions we have prepared are to award the bid and to authorize myself to sign that change order for a credit, subject to legal review, as that because we don't have the contract signed, we don't have the change order prepared yet, but that should be coming in fairly short order. And we kind of talked about why this is a special meeting. There's a lot of moving pieces on this project, and construction's been crazy. So trying to get this done, that we are actually capturing what has been negotiated for the full scope and get it approved as quickly as possible so that we can start getting the schedule, materials orders, and things like that. Are there any questions from the board members?
So we were looking at $300,000 cost or budget for the project. So just
No, so the total is $2 million.
Okay.
And this particular bid, we had kind of estimated at about $1 million. Okay. So that's why when 1.6 came in, it was kind of tough to swallow. But that's where we've been able to Mike and William are both first to yeah, so this allows us to stay much closer to that $2 million range. And that being said, there were things that had to be pulled from this. A lot of the changes are going to be for remediation of the work done on private property. That's a conversation that we'll have to be having with residents. And then some of the pieces about plantings and things like that. So this is the best possible scenario with the much of anything in there that can be kind of avoided. We're going to have to be moving forward to avoid that. But again, the district will still have to be able to have a conversation with them about anything that was removed from the bid or from this proposal. We should be able to work with them over time and try to remediate anything that we had to cut to keep this within the budget.
And does this get charged back to the water district?
So, yes.
District, okay.
Yeah, so the up to 2 million is in reimbursable DASNY grant, which will bear the cost for it, and then once the project is completed, we'll reimburse. And then anything over 2 million will either go against the current fund balance of the district, or we will have to consider having the district specifically take on some debt to cover it.
So one of the discussion points was to try to avoid having the district take on a bond. And so if we can keep this to within the rate at which they can pay of themselves within the comptroller's guidance. So if, for example, one of the things we took out was some landscaping, they just wait till the next year, and landscaping then, that could be a realistic solution for that. So those are the kinds of things that we wanted to make sure that there was an opportunity to avoid bonding in addition to the $2 million and have it be sort of more of a pay-as-you-go kind of solution. I also want to comment that the highway department is going to do a planned repaving of their road on a cycle that will coincide with this, so that it will, they have not paid for paving and then paving again, but it will be coincided with that, so that there will be as much smoothness for the residents as possible within that. It will be a little muddy for a mile, but it will eventually all be.
Questions? William and Mike, any questions from you guys and comments?
No, I don't at this time.
No, sir.
Okay, so I do see we have a raised hand. What I would actually like to suggest, just this is a special meeting and everyone's kind of taking some time to make this. What I would actually like to ask is if MS could stay on until after the adjournment, and I can handle any questions one-on-one, just so that everybody can get out of here on time. So I would entertain their motions unless there is any further discussion.
I'll make a motion to award the bid to Casanova Excavating in the amount of $1,600,600 Skyridge Water Supply District 2025 district infrastructure improvement project number 3 for water main replacement and pump. One second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Did you guys have trouble hearing the motion?
Yeah, I did had a little bit of trouble. It looked like William did too. We both had our ears curled in.
Yeah, I can't
So
hear
the
that.
The motion on the table is to award the bid to Casanova Excavating in the amount in the letter for this project.
Yes, I have reviewed the bids and I agree with awarding Casanella.
Okay, great. So unanimous then, ayes, motion passes. Then we have the second motion.
Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign a change order in credit amount of $516,210, resulting in a reduced total cost of $1,084,440, $1,084,440, subject to EOB. I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Seeing no other business, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good night, everybody.
Thank you for accommodating.
No worries.
Take care.
Yeah.
You have, it's not live streaming anyways,
Yeah, good.
so for some reason it didn't like. Yes, yes, I will be back on Tuesday.
Hi.
So, William and Mike, we are good. We've adjourned the meeting. If you'd like to hang out for the conversation, feel free.
Okay, thank you. I'm in another meeting, so
No worries.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hi.
There's nobody that signed up.
Hey,
so
how's it
we can
going?
just toss it. Thank you.
So I have a few questions in regards to the project. I am the resident that has the easement for the water main. And for the existing water main. And I'm kind of confused on the current status of the water main as is because we were told originally when we were considering the Aqua project coming in that the water main was essentially that's currently hooked up on our property was actually like null and void and actually not being in used right now. And from my understanding, when the big Aqua project was being connected from Fayetteville or wherever it was to Horseshoe Lane and to our water district, I was under the understanding that they were going to any water work or water mains that they were going to do for any upcoming future water projects was going to be shoved out to Gulf Road rather than being where it is currently, because it was like all these tree lines and whatnot. So one of the things is recently I actually just had another baby and the baby came significantly early. So I haven't been able to come to the meetings recently. And so I finally have a free minute to talk to you guys about this. So I was finally looking at the documents and trying to understand all of it because I'm not an engineer myself. So I'm trying to understand everything. One of the things that I noticed that was I'm not very happy about is the easement is significantly increased. So it's expanded significantly, and that is going on to our property quite a bit. And I'm not okay with that. Also, we have tree lines that are going to be taken out, and that is going to significantly reduce our property value. And we're going to have no privacy between neighbors at all. These trees are significantly older. I actually just had Bartlett tree experts come out because we've been getting some work done on them. We've been paying thousands of dollars to ensure that these trees keep growing. And we've been getting treatment done on them. And so now I'm being told that they're going to be taken down. And I'm not even being told directly. I haven't even been spoken to about any of this, about the water easement or anything. Had I not looked at that very specific document that somebody on our loop was able to give to us, I wouldn't have been a part of this easement conversation at all, which is also concerning. So I guess my questions are, is, if we are also looking to reduce the amount that is being spent on this project for the financial health of our water district and for the town's concern, is there a way for us to move the water main out to Gulf Road, because the end of the water line goes out to Gulf Road anyways. And that would significantly reduce the amount of trees that would need to be removed. And it would also reduce the amount of trees that we would have to replant and pay for. And it wouldn't be so much work teeing off and things like that. We could handle the Salt Springs residents that are hooked up to the water line. We could handle them in another manner. So I was just wondering if that would be something that they would consider and potentially get a new proposal going before the project begins, because it's very worrisome where there's going to be we have a lot of stuff going on where the easement is, and then the expanded easement where they've decided that they think it's okay to expand on the easement there. We have stuff going on that we're planning to do with our property over there. So it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's frustrating.
So, what I will tell you is that, when it comes to this particular water district and this project, we are working with a incredibly tightened budget. And that's state money, that's money that we are trying to move forward so we don't lose. And like
Right.
I said, you know, we are trying to pretty much wrap up construction on this by the end of the year, if not early next year. And we are at the point in the project where I do not believe there is any ability to make, you know, any adjustments like this. And I mean, and like Aaron, I don't know exactly about the water main and all that stuff and exactly what's gonna be happening to it, but you know, hey. So can you maybe give me a little background with the water main and moving? I'm not 100% sure what exactly is happening with the water main in this project.
I can give you a little, fill in the gaps for you a little bit, John. So, Maureen lives on the south side of the horseshoe at the top. She's 2 houses west of the tank. And between her and the third house west of the tank is where that little spur comes off to the south. And that serves it serves 3 houses, one on Gulf, Kathleen, Quinn, and actually that might be it. But anyway, so her property line is where that little short piece comes down to the south. It shoots off the horseshoe to hit the other people up by Salt Springs. So there is a very big line of mature Norway spruce right there that we weren't exactly sure until our engineer and attorney had looked up the easement information. We didn't know exactly where, you know, a lot of that was. We didn't really have a good handle on pipe sizes or anything like that. So, you know, so she's right at that corner. I can't speak to sizes of easements changing or anything like that, because I think part of this is bringing things up to code with regards. And it's like scoping of the location of the water line and stuff, that ship has sailed. We're way beyond that point. And, you know, the water line is the proposed water line is where it's going to be. Because that was determined by the engineers to be the most efficient way, not just for layout and what it might disturb, but also for like pressure and pumps and a lot of other hydrological things that are beyond us. So it also is the current configuration, right? And so there's something to be said for minimizing disturbance by following along with that. It sounds like there's been, you know, there'll be some changes to the landscaping and everything. We really need to keep this down under, you know, to minimize a bond if we need one. And, you know, I know that John knows that we'll be on top of about following up in the next couple of years about site restoration and landscaping and stuff. The site work always gets knocked off. Like that's just life. And we'll follow that up. I have every faith in that. So does that help a little bit?
I appreciate the background. And Melissa, was that Maureen?
Maureen. Yeah, Maureen, sorry.
All right, does that answer some of your questions?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to Aaron a little bit here and there, but like I was not in the know at all about all of our trees basically being gone, because where all of our tree lines are, we have blue spruce, we have I forgot what the other ones are, but we have trees surrounding our entire property, and that was one of the reasons why we bought this property, was because of the privacy. And it's just incredibly frustrating that these trees are going to be knocked down and replaced with what the proposal said. I think it was like a 3 or 4 foot, you know, sapling of sorts. And that's going to take decades for them to grow the height that they're at right now. Not only that, but we've spent thousands of dollars with tree maintenance in the last couple years. And so it's just incredibly frustrating. And then our property is going to be completely destroyed. I know that when we bought this place, we had the water easement, but now that the water easement is wider than it initially was on our abstract, it's I don't think
You know
that's
what
okay.
can you email me, or can you share, if you know off the top of your head, what those dimensions are and what the changes are in that? Just so we understand, is it going from like 15 feet to 30 feet, or is it, you know,
It's basically expanding on the entire side where our garden is and where we planned on putting a bunch of fruit trees and things like that. We planned on expanding on that side of the house. And so it's basically expanding as you get closer to Horseshoe. So
Yep.
from Salt Springs to Horseshoe, it kind of goes in like a V formation and it gets bigger. So,
Okay, well, they're
and
usually a standard width.
I also am concerned for the fact of why are we, so when Bartlett came out here, we have a tree right now, that's a 50 to 60-year-old box elder tree that's right near the easement line. And when Bartlett told us that that was about 50 to 60 years old, I kind of chuckled because I was like, why on earth would that tree be planted? You know, our house was built in like 73 or 74, I think. Why would that tree be planted right around the same time that the water main was put in, knowing that the root system was so large? And the same thing
It
goes for
probably
all of the
wasn't.
other trees.
So box elder is a weed tree, and they're rarely ever planted like in commerce. They're usually something that get like a bird poops a seed out and things like spread. You want to get rid of that anyway. Trust me.
Right, but
One of the
I'm
things
also saying
that's
these other trees as well, like all the evergreen trees and things like that we have. You know, I guess my question is too is we're replanting trees next to a water main line. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just contradictory, I guess, is my concern as well with that.
you're not wrong.
Yeah, 100%. I can appreciate it. I mean, the goal was never to do this project. The goal was to get fresh water up to this water district and dissolve the water district and just have it be. But you know, we needed $10 million to do that. We were able to maintain the $2 million. And from the town's perspective, and I can appreciate, you know, lack of communication and things like that. We can definitely always take feedback on that. But right now, we have to get this up as soon as possible. And any delay could jeopardize the $2 million, which basically jeopardizes the entire water district. So, you know, I don't know why at some point in the past, I don't know which friend of the supervisor in the 70s lived in the district that it was ever even deeded over to the town and taken on as the town's responsibility. But we are, I mean, the truth of the matter is it's all of those residents have to bear all of the costs of the water district. We're not allowed to use any additional funds outside of what we've been able to get from state funding, thanks to Al Sturpey. And so, you know, again, I appreciate that this is not a great thing to have happen, but the town's responsibility is to ensure the folks in this district have clean water, and that is our priority number one. And you know, anything we can do to remediate any issues, we're happy to have conversations. But in the short term, the most important thing is to ensure that this water system is built up to spec so that you guys have fresh water for, you know, as long as the system will last until we have to do this again.
I guess my other question is too, before, you know, we end this call is, I don't know what the possibilities are of with easements. But on the other side of our property, there is no easement currently. But that side does not have a significant amount of trees or anything like that in the way. There's just a couple bushes and there's one large, I think it's a walnut tree. And that's it. And so I don't know what the possibility, you could still access the Salt Springs residents from that spot. So I don't know if there's a possibility of just flip-flopping it to the other side, if that would be a significant change in plans, engineering wise, or what have you, versus, you know, the current plan, and whatnot. But I guess my other question is in regards to our property being the main source of this project entirely is, I would appreciate if we could at some point have a conversation with the engineering firm now that it's been selected, having a virtual meeting with them just to discuss like what realistically it's going to look like for us and our property for this next year during this project, and what it's truly going to entail for us. You know, because I can read the proposal's all I want, but I'm not an engineer. So I'm trying to keep up with this water project thing. I'm trying to keep up with the quarry stuff. I'm trying to keep up with just regular house maintenance and, you know, family stuff and having a baby and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot. So I would appreciate if we could have an engineer basically put it in simple terms of what is it going to look like for all the people that are involved in this water main area, for my neighbors right next to me, you know, and you know, that are sharing the tree lines with us, and how that's going to be using up our property for now and for the future. And I also want clarification on the easement size as well, and both the old easement size and the new easement size, and what's going on with that exactly. I want to hear about that before they start the project at the end of July.
Okay,
So
I
let me
will
just-
reach out to Doug Miller, who's the lead on this. I will see if we can schedule maybe a 30-minute call.
Okay.
Could you do me a favor? Could you send me an email to just make sure I have your contact information?
Yes. I also sent you an email, I think it was today or yesterday, because I wanted to talk to you about it before the meeting today.
Okay.
So I can shoot you another email, so that you have it.
Yeah, that would be great. 'Cause what I will do is, like I said, I will talk with the engineer tomorrow. I'll see if we can get something on the books. We'll work with you to find a time that makes sense. And then really as much as you can, if you can just kind of summarize, like, what are the questions you're looking for answers to, I can get that to them. That way, when we get on the call,
You're
you don't have
prepared.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I want to minimize the amount of time you're taking on this, so I can get them to be able to answer your questions. Can't promise they're going to be answers that you like, but I can at least get you the answers right from them.
Okay.
So I would offer two things. One, Maureen, just so you know, the way this project was bid, we had 5 different options of ways that the pipe could be replaced. And a couple of them were to not excavate at all. So we didn't know until the bids were reviewed and recommended by the engineer, which would be the way that they would go. So a couple of them were to like directionally drill or line the pipe, and that would result in probably no tree loss, right? So it's not that it wasn't being communicated clearly by the town or the engineer, it's that nobody knew. Like, we had to bid the project in multiple ways, and then at the end learned about how it would be chosen. So there's that. And I would highly suggest, before you make your list for John, that you go back if you can, John, and can you send her the video recording of the last meeting that we had with the neighbors?
Yeah. 100%.
Because I think that would really help. I know you've been congratulations, Maureen. I know you've had a lot going on. And you haven't been able to participate in the process as much as you probably would have liked. And so if you want to go back and the handout, there's still copies of that. There's a PDF I emailed, but I think a lot of your questions might be answered if you could go back and watch that. And I don't know where that recording is.
Yeah, I can get that to you.
Okay. Thank you, John, and everybody else who's still there for sticking around and doing this tonight.
That's
Yeah, I
your job.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you both tuning in.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you, goodbye.